Ahead and get started, so take your seat, please. Welcome, everybody. I'm Lars, Bildsten, the director here at KITP. It's really my pleasure to introduce you and see some friendly, familiar faces. You're here as part of a program, so I first want to thank the program coordinators, who I think are all here. I see Livia, Mate, Joseph somewhere. He's getting his name tag. But also especially thank Jennifer for organizing this part of the event, the conference. So thank you very much, Jennifer. For how many of you is this morning your first time at the KITP? Yeah, wow. Okay, so it's always half. I don't know how this works, but it's great. It seems to be an invariant we have. And so I want to spend just a few minutes explaining who we are and how we operate. We've been in operation since 1979 here on the campus at UC Santa Barbara. Our main goal is bringing together people for long-term events and collaborations. That's what we call a program. Those programs occur all year round except for 2 weeks right around the winter holidays. Each program has about 27, 28 people here for long stays. We really emphasize people being here long enough to start collaborations and get new ideas and form hopefully new directions in the field. Those programs, which are about a dozen per year, get defined by all of you through a process of iteration with us and our advisory board. So if you have an interest in understanding that process, speak with me. Mark Bowick is here. Mark, raise your hand, as Deputy Director, can explain it. Bill Bialik was on the board quite a while ago, so Bill probably roughly, right, Bill? Yeah. I think you were.
I don't know, it still works the same way.
Yeah, well, but it's a process of development. So we're about to announce everything through academic year 24-25. So we pretty much are now, we know what we're doing for the next 2 years. We do that far in advance because we want people to find the time, to make the time to be here for long visits, and that takes planning. So if you have a good idea for something for fall 25 and beyond, please feel free to grab any of us, or also speak to the coordinators, who of course all been through this process successfully to get us all here. So I want to acknowledge a few of our key KITP staff who make everything here work well. So first, Claudia, who's running the conference. Thank you, Claudia. And Craig, who's IT. Thank you, Craig. And I know Alina is out there. She's she's KITP Alina, I guess, when she's here, but Alina is the one that is responsible for ensuring everything is recorded, as well as helping with any Zoom issues. Everything we do here has always been recorded. We've got about 25,000 talks online. Those talks are from what you're doing here today. If all of you should have received instructions for how to give us your PowerPoint or your slides, but we do record those talks, and that's why it's important that you please use the microphones when you have a question. That way the questions also get recorded rather than just the answers, so people aren't confused or playing Jeopardy. So that's an important part. The other key thing that we really emphasize here is time for discussion. So these talks should be 30-minute talks of 15 minutes for questions. Jennifer's nodding her head vigorously. Peter Latham is going to be our first session chair, so really he's responsible for the success of the conference. Because if he lets the speakers go long, then everybody else will do the same. So please respect that on both sides, and please do be certain that there's time for questions. That's really what makes it different, or at least to us, than what you may be accustomed to.
Lars, you have 20 seconds.
Thank you. Access for Wi-Fi is up here. It's EduRoam's the simplest thing, should you need it. Hopefully you won't. Again, many of you, it's your first time here, so all of the breaks are in the courtyard, which is sort of that direction. The restrooms are down the hall, men's and women's, gender neutrals down this hall, straight down the hall. And so all of the breaks are there, as are the lunches, as are the dinners, which are this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm looking at Claudia. Monday, tonight. Okay, great. So if you have a surprise guest, please let Claudia know so we can change the head count. With no further ado, I'm going to hand this over to you, Peter. I think I've hit enough of the logistics. Oh, Jennifer has a few words. Jennifer.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming. I know Santa Barbara is not as easy to get to as you might have guessed. I found that. But I wanted to say a couple of things about the organization. Again, just emphasizing, so I got here 2 weeks ago and have been participating in the program, which has been wonderful and super interactive. And we want to maintain that level of interaction for the conference. And the program is heavily leaning towards theory and computation. The conference is slightly more leaning, well, largely more leaning to mechanistic studies, experimental, but with an effort to choose people who may be able to intersect on both ends. So we're really hoping that the conference will be a chance for the theorists to say, here's what we'd really like to see on the experimental end to drive the theories forward, and conversely for the experimentalists to say, here's where we're feeling we're lacking theories to drive our experimental research. So we're looking forward to that kind of interaction. And to facilitate that, we have turned what would have normally been just a panel discussion at the end of each session. It will still be panel discussion. If you have questions you'd like to pose to the invited speakers from that session, you're welcome to do so. But we're also calling it perspectives and discussion. You may have some of your own research results related to that topic, and we encourage you to present those during that time. So, you know, the way I think of it, sometimes you're at a conference and there's the question period and somebody starts giving a little mini lecture and everybody's rolling their eyes thinking, are they going to ask a question? We're going to embrace the mini lecture. So if you have something you want to say, as long as you can say it in less than 5 minutes, and that you can upload slides, so there are, you should have all received in an email or two links for each session. So if you have results you'd like to show in 1 or 2 slides, you can upload those slides into the shared folder and you'll be able to show them. And you can do that anytime between now and the perspective session that you would like to contribute to. And you can reach out to the session chairs and say that you'd like to participate in that, and they will kind of organize. We're giving you lots of power to do whatever you please in your session. Okay, so I hope you'll all do that. I will be speaking this afternoon, but I have a thought to contribute to a session on Wednesday, and I hope everybody will really embrace that. Originally, we had thought about having a poster session on one of the afternoons. We did not get sufficient submissions to really sustain a poster session. We're replacing that with a discussion first in breakout groups and then all together on this question of what kind of data do the theorists want to see, and we can also expand that to what kind of concepts are lacking in the experimental areas that those of you who are doing that are interested in. So we'll be organizing that and saying more about that too. If anything comes up, feel free to contact me with your questions. In the program, there's been a lot of spontaneous organization of, hey, if anybody wants to talk in more depth about subject X, meet in the atrium, so we can help organize those too. All right, and now I'll turn it over to Peter, who is trying to set a record for most KITP events attended.
Wow, how am I doing? I'm sure I'm not close. Okay, thanks to extremely irresponsible behavior by Lars and Jennifer behind schedule, it won't happen again. Talks are gonna run on time. Our first speaker is Tom Odell. You need like a PhD in English to decipher the title. Behavioral timescale cooperativity and competitive synaptic interactions.